Normally, statements in a program are executed one after the other in the order in which they are written. This is called sequential execution. For example, if you look at this code right here, a line is evaluated after the previous one has been executed. None of the lines is going to be skipped. If you run this one now, we have the first line, which is enter a number. Then if you enter a number, the second line is going to get executed, then the third line, followed by the fourth line, which also says enter a number. And it's going to continue like that till the final line has been executed. In the execution of this program, none of the line is skipped. Everything is executed one after the other. Various Python statements we'll be discussing now enable you to specify what the next statement to be executed may be. This is called transfer of control. We'll start with the if statement only. The basic structure of the if statement is if expression, then the statement to be executed. Just like the for statement, the syntax is very important here also. The expression is a conditional expression that can be evaluated to true or false. And our program will only go to the statement under the if statement if the conditional expression is true. Otherwise, the statement will be skipped and our program will go to the line after the if block. The first line ends with a colon. The statement we want to execute based on that condition will be indented under the if statement. We can have different statements under a single if. That is, the statement under the if statement is not necessarily a single statement. So for example, we can have something like, if today is Sunday, we want to do laundry, we want to shop for grocery, we want to visit the nursing home. That is, we want to do all this if the condition is true. And the condition is if today is Sunday. If today is not Sunday, we are not going to do any of this. The statements to be evaluated are grouped under the same block, and the block in programming is regarded as a single entity. In Python, all lines or statements with the same indentation level are considered to be the same block. And the end of the block is denoted by a line with an indentation level that is less than all the lines of the block in which we are referring to. For example, let's take a look at this code snippet. In the first line, we are requesting for a value input. Then the second line is the if statement, checking if the number we input is equals to 1. Then if that is equals to 1, we print number is 1, then we print the norm. Then again, we ask for another number which we store in the num2 variable. Then we print num2 has a value of num2, then the print end of the block. All these print function will be evaluated if the value we input is 1. Everything with this same indentation level here, this one, this one, this one, and this one, are going to be evaluated if the condition is true. That is, if num is equals to 1. And the last print function, which is this one, print end of block, is not part of this block because it has an indentation level which is less than all these indentation level. Let's see another example. We want a program that asks for the scores of students, and if the scores is greater than or equals to 50, it's going to print pass, and if it's less than 50, it's going to print failed. So let's say we have scores is equals to int input enter your scores. Then we have a variable called grade which has an initial value of failed. So if the scores is greater than or equals to 50, we are going to change the value of grade to passed. Then outside this if block, we are going to print the grade. So in the first line, we are asking for the scores a student score in a test. Then we give grade an initial value of failed. So if the score the student enter is greater than 50 or is equals to 50, the grade is changed to passed. Then we print the grade. If you run this one now, we have enter your scores. So if you enter a value that is less than 50, for example, if you enter 48 now, it's going to print pass. So let's run this again and enter another value. So if you enter a value that is maybe equals to 50, because of that condition, it's going to print passed. Let's run it again with a value that is greater than 50, maybe like 90. So it's going to print passed. So let me explain this again. The first statement allows you to input your scores. In the second line, grade is assigned to the string failed. The third line check if the scores we input is greater than or equals to 50. If it is true, the value of grade is changed to passed. then we print the grade. So if we input a value that is greater than or equals to 50, passed is printed, and if the scores we input is less than 50, failed is printed. This is our code there, and this is the flowchart by the right. If the scores that is inputted is greater than or equals to 50, it goes down through the true path and the value of grade is changed to passed, then it is printed. If the value we input is less than 50, it goes through the false path and failed is printed. Now let's talk about what else you can do. Sometimes you want to do something if the condition is true and something else if the condition is false. The else statement allows you to do this, and it allows you to specify something else you want to do if the condition is not true. This is a modification of our Sunday example. So if today is Sunday, we want to do laundry, we want to shop for grocery, we want to visit the nursing home, else we are going to sleep. So the statement in the if block will only get executed, as we've seen earlier, if today is Sunday. If today is not Sunday, statement under the else block will be executed, and the statement says we sleep. So any day that is not Sunday, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we are going to sleep. And on Sunday, we are going to do all these three things, which is go do the laundry, shop for grocery, and visit the nursing home. So if today is not Sunday, then we sleep. So that's the function of the else statement. So we can modify this example of scores with the else statement. So we can just cut off this one here. So if the score is greater than 50, grade is equals to pass, then we can just add an else statement here. Else grade equals to failed. So if we run this one now, we have if you input a value that is less than 50, like 49, we are going to have failed. So just like we saw earlier, what's happening here, the first line as usual is asking for our scores. The second line is checking if the scores is greater than or equals to 50. If it is greater than or equals to 50, then grade will be equals to passed. So if this statement here is not true, grade is equals to failed, then we print grade. The only way the code is going to go through this else block is if the scores we input is less than 50, like we saw now. So if you enter a value that is greater than 50, like 60 now, this is going to be passed because this if condition is going to be true and grade will be equals to passed. If more than one if statement follows each other, they will be executed one after the other, and the last else block, if available, will be executed based on the state of the last if statement. Let me explain what I'm trying to say. If you have another if statement here, if scores is equals to 50, we want grade to be equals to average. Then this one will just be if grade is greater than 50. This is a little bit tricky. I want you to pause video and figure out the output if we input a value like 80. So let me sip my coffee and wait for your answer. So what's your output? Passed? Sorry to say you are wrong. Failed is printed. To clear your doubts, let's run this and see. So if we input a value like 80, we have failed. So why do we have failed? We have failed because the else block here, which is else, grade is equals to failed, belongs to this if statement. These two if statements are independent. The first one is executed, the second one is also executed, and this else block belongs to this if statement, and it will be executed based on this condition. So let's go through this line by line also. So we input 80 as our value. The first if statement check if the value is greater than 50, and that's true because 80 is greater than 50, then grade will be equals to passed. Since this second if is independent of the first if, it checks if the score is equals to 50, which is false, and that is this grade is equals to average will be skipped. It's not going to go through this if block. Then because this else block belongs to this if block, is going to go here because this is already false. Grade is not equals to 50. So else grade is equals to failed. Then grade will be given a value of failed. So if you have two if statements following each other, or if you have two or more if statements following each other, they are independent of each other. They will all be executed, and the last else block belongs to the last if block. So this else here belongs to this if here. So in order to check other alternatives like we are trying to check here, that is if you want to print grade. If you want grade to be equals to pass if the score is greater than 50, you want grade to be equals to average if the score is equals to 50, or you want it to print fail if the grade is less than 50. So you are going to use the Elif statement. The Elif statement is a short form for else if. So if you change this second if to Elif now, and we run this again with a value of 80, we are going to have the past that we are expecting. Because what is happening here is that if the score is greater than 50, grade will be equals to pass, and everything else will be skipped. It's not going to go through this else if, because one of the statements is already true. So if we input a value of 50 now, it's going to print average, because the first statement is false, which is score is greater than 50 is false. It's not going to go through that part. It's going to go through the Elif because the score is equals to 50, and once this condition is true, it's going to skip this else block and go to this print grade. So if we input a value of 80, it's going to go through here, check if the value is greater than 50. If that is passed, whatever else that is under this if statement, if it is an Elif, it's going to skip it, and it's going to skip the else also. Then it's going to print the value of grade. So this is how the flowchart of the Elif looks like. And yeah, this is how the flowchart of the double if looks like. So if you want to check the running process of this true, I have a video of a simple animation showing the running process of the true on my channel. I'm going to leave a link to that in the description below.